We're live. We're going to give it a minute or two, maybe three, to let some people join us. Great conversation I'm anticipating on the show today. A guy I've known for a while, but we've never connected like this, so I'm looking forward to it. Tell some friends about it. By the way, before I forget, because sometimes I forget, this is Steve from UTalk, and we want you to follow us at UTalk Radio. That's UTALK Radio. And then you can stay up on all the stuff. We're doing new stuff, guests, shows, projects, all of that kind of good stuff. Hey, it is the last day of February. Can you believe it? But it's a leap year. Now, this is like a totally random question, but what do you do on a non-leap year if you were born on a leap year? Like, if you're born on February 28th, what do you do next year to celebrate your birthday? I don't know. Maybe you have friends that got married on February 29th. I should say 29th. I said 28th. I'm sorry, 29th. What do you do the next year? Do you go on to February 28th? Do you move to March 1st? Whatever. It's just, it's a random, thing. So anyway, follow us at UTalk Radio. Get ready for a great conversation. Guys, on the show is Mike Fox. He's going to join us in a conversation about some very cool stuff. He is an award-winning filmmaker, director, producer, screenwriter, actor, and creative entrepreneur. And that encompasses a lot of stuff. His work is known across the United States on various media outlets. He lives in Delaware. So he's pulling a But he said, hey, I can do this. I'm ready to do this. And I know he is. Just talking to him online. Mike, it's really you, finally.
Hey, it's good to be here. How are you?
Hey, I'm great, man. This is really fun because we've been trading jabs and things back and forth on social for, I don't know how many, 2-3 years at the least?
At the
Maybe
least,
more than that.
all through our daughter, all through my daughter, of course,
Yeah, I was going to say your daughter, not our daughter.
Yeah. Me and my wife's daughter.
There we go.
There we go.
And Ariana has been on the show a couple times. In fact, she was on, probably about a month ago. And I have to give her the credit because she said, hey, you need to have my dad on. And I said, okay, we don't usually have a lot of dads on, but we can make exceptions. And this time I'm really stoked about you being here. And I got to ask you first thing, what is one of your favorite movies of all time, excluding yours?
So I don't actually put my own as the favorite.
Okay.
One day maybe. But I will say, I gotta say it's different per genre. Like, for example, for sci-fi, I would say The Matrix. It's just a classic.
Oh,
It's a
absolutely.
classic, cult classic, and it set the precedence for special effects and in-depth storyline and analogies and metaphors. A lot of people don't realize it's actually the beginning ones, the first, the second, and the third. Mainly the first. It was a lot of like Christian allegories, but it set the precedence for so many other sci-fi movies, and the characters were just relatable.
Yeah.
For psychological drama, I would say Inception. Inception.
Yes.
Inception was just mind-bending and so much thought. Christopher Nolan put so much thought into into the storyline, the character depth, and the intrigue, and then of course the special effects were amazing, but it was all integrated. For thriller or horror, I'm going to go ahead and say Megan. Now, Megan is not a slasher horror.
No.
It's a thriller horror. And so it was just done so creatively and so tight as far as storyline and character. It was just top-notch quality. It was actually a $12 million budget that made over $200 million worldwide. So that's just one of those movies that I look to, For directing, cinematography, music, I have to say both Sherlock Holmes with
Okay.
Robert Downey Jr.
Yeah. Yeah.
Directed by Guy Ritchie.
Okay.
The cinematography, the music by Hans Zimmer. I mean, there's nothing else to say about that except for
Yeah.
that.
For sure.
But
Absolutely.
the acting, of course, was top par.
Yep.
But the cinematography from the very opening logo, where you hear that dum 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 dum, and you hear this of the hooves of the horses, and you go on the cobblestone the cobblestone street
Yeah.
where the logo is carved out of cobblestone of Warner Brothers, and then it goes and stuff. It's just everything about it was so cinematic. So including the slow
Mm.
motion speed up of when he was directing third punch to the right, hit the jaw, psychologically, physical recovery, 6 weeks, psychological recovery, 6 months. It was just everything about it was like
I love it.
the best.
I
So,
love it.
yeah, those are my favorites kind of thing.
Now, I'm surprised you didn't mention one. Of course, being Italian, when you're Italian, it
The
comes out in everything.
Godfather.
Oh, absolutely.
There you go. See,
Absolutely.
I said it before you stopped.
Yep.
The Godfather was the industry standard, the Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Wednesday kind of thing. So.
Well, and isn't the montage in The Godfather, I mean, like one of the best montages ever?
It was a precedent for what that genre should be for the rest of the movies.
Yeah.
And of course the actors in there, it just they encapsulize their characters and their roles, and that's everybody looks back to the Godfather on so many levels of how they always have those things hanging up, what I learned in life I learned from my cat or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah.
and
Yeah.
and I've seen so many, what I've learned from life I learned from the Godfather, you know and learn how to talk to people the right way. It's just,
Well, truth be told, my grandfather was a mobster.
ah,
Okay.
ah.
And he looked very similar to Marlon Brando. And he even talked the same way, except he didn't have cotton in his mouth. He was known as Big Ernie. So people say, Steve, how were you raised? I said, well, take The Godfather and take My Big Fat Greek Wedding, put them together, and you know how I was raised. But there's one other film, as an Italian, I've got to mention, Rocky.
Oh yeah. Okay. So
We can't
Rocky.
forget Rocky.
No, you can't forget Rocky, and even in the first Creed. To be honest with you, Sylvester Stallone was still just an emotional. Everything about him was just like he didn't have to talk a lot to convey his
No,
emotions.
no.
You know, he only had to say a few words and a few sentences, and the way he said it and when he said it, it just, you knew that there was some emotion and experience of life behind it. I don't have to talk about this very much, and all I got to do is punch, just punch, and then you get punched back, and then I punch you back. Hey, that's what life is. And so, you know,
And you
um,
keep on punching.
and you
If you
keep
see him on
on
social, it's
punching.
like keep on punching.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
yeah, no,
Rocky.
no,
I agree.
it's well, and I'm fortunate, maybe not fortunate, but a lot of my friends have nicknamed me the Italian Stallion.
Ah,
So
that's a high standard right
I
there, man.
like one of these days I got to meet the other stallion. I'll call him Stallion One, and I'll go down to two or three or four or something like that. But I want to meet him. Just
Hey,
stallion to stallion.
I'll
To see
tell
what
you what,
happens.
he's got a good head on his shoulders, and
He
he's
does.
actually, as a director and a veteran actor, A-lister for so long, he's actually speaking up against the stuff that's happening in Hollywood right now,
Mm-hmm.
he's not going for it, and Hollywood is crashing on very many levels. As a director, I can't stand it. As a filmmaker, I can't stand it because
Sure. Sure.
all the stuff that they're pumping out, which is, absolute, rubbish. And it's just, but Sylvester Stallone, among many others, are like, we're not going to have that stuff on my set, and we're just gonna make original, good, impacting things,
Yeah, no,
and
he's brilliant, and you think of where he came from, and you listen to some of the stuff he says. He's got some good life, just plain old life stuff to think
mhm.
about and to follow. And no, I've got great respect for him. Now, a couple random questions. Can you use an iPhone to make a film?
So that's a very good question.
Okay, we like good questions.
Good question. So so it's a trick question because 100% you can. You can
Okay,
use an iPhone.
all right.
In fact, the iPhone 13 and newer has an amazing cinematic focus
Hmm.
and the depth of field capabilities, almost like rack focus, basically,
Huh.
um, including up to 60 frames per second, 4K.
Wow.
So
Okay.
it's fantastic. But that being said, you have to kind of understand like what you're going to use it for or determine when and how
Hmm.
it gets
Okay.
deployed and
Sure.
distributed. So if you use an iPhone, you'll either need to supplement also just another thing. You'll need to supplement the audio with either accessories
Okay.
that are professional accessories that you put on the phone. There are some like there's some Rode accessories,
Yeah.
or you do the normal old-fashioned boom and lav mic on a separate recorder. So you know you can use it, but it's the sound quality is not going to be a professional from the phone. So you have to supplement that.
Supplement.
Now,
Yeah.
now the video itself, again, if you're going to make a movie, there are some incredible cinematic movies that have been made on iPhones,
Huh.
and they're awesome because it's not just the iPhone, it's the user. But
Sure.
if you're going to try to put it on Netflix or some, big streaming,
Yeah.
then it's very iffy. If
Okay.
you're just gonna do it just to put it on YouTube and
Yeah.
show everybody in the world that
Okay.
you can, then yeah, you can make some incredible stuff. So again, it depends how and where you're going to use it. What's your
Yeah.
end game on your film?
Well, it's interesting because I was thinking about this, when as I was thinking through the show and our conversation and stuff. Towards the end of COVID, I got a call from a local school district here in Southern California, and they said, "Hey, we're going to do a virtual college fair, and we'd really like somebody." We'd like you to talk about what it means to be a professional drummer, because that's one of my side hacks. And I said, okay, and they said, it's got to be less than 7 minutes. I said, okay, no problem. I said, when do you need it? And of course, it was tomorrow. So,
Of course.
and that was actually from a middle school. And so, one of our Utah crew helped film me on an iPhone. We gave it to them. A couple days later, the school district calls and says, hey, Steve, saw that thing you did for, Summit. Any chance we can have it to distribute to the district? We want to put it in every school. And I'm going, whoa, of course, And I was talking to one of our guys, one of our interns at the time. He now works with us. And he said, hey, let me have it. He said, I'm going to enhance the sound. He said, I'm going to do some zooming in and out. And we ended up cutting it down to 6 minutes. We call them, I think they're called 360 seconds with Steve. But it's interesting, all done on an iPhone. And
Yeah,
we've
yeah,
filmed
yeah.
subsequently a couple more, but we haven't filmed. We used a couple cameras instead of the iPhone.
Yeah, yeah, and you can do commercial work on an
Okay,
iPhone.
all
We,
right,
we do a lot of, video commercials for companies, for businesses. I try to stick to the iPhone because it does 4K.
okay,
And
sure.
it's not going to go on a movie theater, although it does actually go on movie theaters if I put it up
Mm-hmm.
for customers with the Splash Design Works. Because we do that for customers.
Sure.
But it's not like it has to be a certain frame rate and data that would be accepted by DCP format and all that kind of stuff. That's when it gets into the
Oh,
tricky realm
okay.
of it's got to be on certain cameras that'll allow for that quality of film. So
Interesting, but it can. I mean, that's cool. And those that are with us, or they're going to hear this later, they're going to see it later on Instagram TV. I mean, that should be an encouragement, Get that iPhone out. Start doing something.
Eh,
Okay,
yeah.
I want to ask a director, producer, screenwriter, what would a film be like without the soundtrack?
It would be catastrophic. I tell everybody. I I just replied, emailed probably a few hours ago. Somebody who submitted, hey, for your films, I'd like to, submit myself to be a composer and all that.
Yeah.
And he did some amazing stuff. And I tell everyone that music, like, can make or break a film. So
Oh,
if you don't have the right music or the right timing of
yeah.
music, or quality music, it can change the entire mood and the structure. You can have great footage, great dialogue, and wacky music, and the value of that film goes down pretty much to the bottom of the totem pole. So people don't
Interesting.
realize that invisible aspect to the movie
Yeah.
is the music. Um, I mean, it's just you can't have a good movie without good music. That's just
Oh,
hundred
you
percent.
know what? That's reaffirming to me because that is, I've never used the word catastrophic, but as a musician, and percussionist, drummer, I watch films and I'm going, I wonder what would happen. It's kind of a weird thought, but I wonder what would happen if you X'd out it wouldn't be the same film if you take, because the music and TV show, whatever it happens to be, the music is such a powerful part of that. It's you know well, interesting. I'm glad I finally had the chance to ask a director, producer, entrepreneur, creative, whatever. Now, as a filmmaker, you for you, it's not about just pumping out content. And I think I can see people that are doing just that. It's like, really, this,
Yeah,
you're going to put your name on this, you're going to put this out there, because for you, if I've got this right, it's about creating something
yeah,
that's unique and emotionally reliable. So,
yeah.
how do you accomplish this and define what you mean by emotionally reliable? Because that's phrase is huge.
Yeah, I mean, to me, it's a huge deal. It's really tricky, to be honest with you. I
Okay.
mean, I know plenty of people that all they do is simply push and pump out content.
Mm-hmm.
Especially like in the horror
Oh,
slasher type of
yeah,
industry.
yeah.
They really don't care. They just kind of do it, and there's no budget, and they just do it. And there are audiences for everything.
Mm-hmm.
And it's and also in the urban realm and in some drama. But they like to throw out the f-bombs, like who cares.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they throw storyline and quality of shots like out the window. um,
Mm.
I personally prefer to be kind of a younger Steven Spielberg, Christopher Nolan,
Oh,
Guy
okay.
Ritchie, J.J. Abrams kind of
Yeah.
director.
Yeah.
I'm always looking for the creative shot, a different angle. I can't stand like the same old, especially in dialogue. To me, it's been like a blessing and a curse because me and my wife and daughter, we've taken a lot of hits financially,
Mm-hmm.
because we're not we're not connected yet to the big wigs financially.
Okay.
Um, and we're still surrounded by those that they just want to create content and stuff out there just to make a few bucks.
Sure.
I was just actually on a interview on the Biggs radio show with amazing John Quick and Bill Cuevas, um, and I showed a small clip of the project that we have right now in post production and still filming little shots here and there,
Yeah.
called Sleepers.
Okay.
And this one clip, it showed basically, it was honoring veterans and those that
Mm.
served, and literally it was a small clip, and they after they saw that they had tears afterwards, and
Oh.
so my aim is always to make films with passion and purpose, that impact lives in some way.
Okay.
And you know so on this side of things, it really bugs me when content is just pumped out there just to
Okay.
make
Sure.
kind of thing.
Sure. Yeah.
And that's not what I'm going for.
Okay.
And we've taken hits because of it, because I have a higher aspiration of an end game in mind, you know. And
Mm-hmm.
even with our Sleepers project, everything's Netflix approved gear. Everything's been done, 4K and above type of thing, and multiple stunt choreographers, dual DPs
Sure.
on the project at many times, and people coming in and making sure that everybody's taken care of. So, you know, so there is that aspect, and it's not easy and it's very hard, but we still pursue it because quality over quantity.
Mm.
But, but I do have
Okay.
to say something on the other side of things. I do recommend and encourage every new filmmaker to actually get out and start filming regardless of quality. So if
Okay.
they're a
All right.
new filmmaker or they're learning,
All right.
then I would say, do the best you can with quality, but don't focus on that. Um, if quality is truly important to them, then it will come and they'll learn it naturally as they learn by doing,
Okay.
not reading about it somewhere else, or someone else doing it.
Mm-hmm.
James
Mm-hmm.
Cameron once said, he's the director of Titanic and
Yep.
Avatar and all that.
Yep.
He once said,
Huge.
quote, pick up a camera, shoot something, now you're a director. Everything after that, you're just negotiating your budget and your fee. So,
Huh.
there's two sides of this. If you're
Sure.
a filmmaker, and you've been doing it, then don't take shortcuts. Do what you need to do and make sure that you have the highest quality you can make it, and don't just pump out the content. But if you're just learning, you're not going to have blockbusters
Yep.
stuff.
Yeah.
Just go out there, do it. You'll learn not to do certain things and to do certain things only by doing it. So yeah.
That's interesting you say that, because I mean, a couple things. As a musician, I give drum lessons, to some select students and some by Zoom, that kind of stuff. But I will tell them, you can practice, you can shed all you want at home behind your kit, whether it's electric, acoustic, whatever it is. But until you get out of that room and you
Yeah.
get with a band, it's not going to come together,
Yep.
because it's a whole
Exactly.
different world, and drummers drive the band, that kind of thing. And I love the underpinning of what you said, passion and purpose. You've got to have that passion, because if you're just pumping it out, and even if it isn't, uh, the huge budget type of thing, if you're passionate about it and you've got a purpose for it, that makes all the difference in the world. Now, let me go back to something you said too. You talked about sleepers and Netflix approved gear. That that's a little interesting nugget you threw out there. I mean, is there a list someplace that says
Yes,
Netflix approved
actually
gear? Is it
there
really?
is. Yes,
Wow.
there is.
Okay.
So it is a hot debatable topic among filmmakers. You get both sides of the spectrum about Netflix gear.
Mm,
Some I've heard some people swear by, they don't care. You don't have to use it. You can use any black magics you want, and
mm,
you can use DSLRs if you want, and blah blah
mm-hmm.
blah. And the majority of professionals that either have worked or do work in the studios, Netflix, and similar, they'll tell you flat out without hesitation, no. Pretty much like 90% of all submissions to Netflix, is they're going to see the data from the footage and
Okay.
see what it's done on and all that, and they're not even going to give you the time of day. So you got people who know people on the inside, and maybe when we get to
Yeah.
the other question, I'll
Sure.
talk about the industry itself, which is a harsh reality, um, but like, eh, using Netflix approved gear, it may have nothing to do like with Netflix per se, but it's a good guide to
Okay.
use equipment that is acceptable in, say, somewhere like Netflix, which has a lot of parameters that you need to make sure you fit
Mm.
in. So, in other words, if you use all Netflix approved gear, pretty much wherever you go, whether you go to Hulu, Peacock,
Okay.
Paramount,
Sure. Sure.
whatever, that your project is going to be at least on par with that quality, to where you don't have to worry about, did you do it the right way with the right
Mm-hmm.
equipment and all that kind of stuff.
Sure.
Even if you're not going to Netflix itself, which in many cases you shouldn't. So,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah. No, that's it. It's interesting you say that. I mean, because gear really does make a difference. Again,
Mm.
I'm not a filmmaker. I'm fascinated with it. I've had a chance to do some. I won't call myself an actor because it's been extra work. I'd like to do more, but I suppose I'm an act. I don't know, whatever. But as a drummer, I'm very fortunate because I'm an endorser for some really top gear. So when I like go into a school and do a school assembly or whatever, and students, especially drummers, see what I'm playing, it's like the whoa, which automatically gives me creds. Plus, it sounds better.
Yeah.
When we're in the studio, I don't want to bring some lesser piece of equipment. I want the best gear I've got to sound the best. So that's fascinating to me. And they obviously, Dan, going back to what you said, somebody at Netflix, you submit this, they're going to know right away. No bueno. This is not up to par with where we should. And there again, I think that having that, when you've got the passion and you've got the purpose to be able to keep the standard as high as you can keep it at that point in time, and don't pull back and not do anything, but be able to get out there and do it. Now let's go back to the beginning for you. When did you first realize this is what you want to do? I mean, I want to be a filmmaker, and everything that goes with it, the screenwriter, the producer, creative entrepreneur, etc.
So that's when I was young, I always wanted to know like how the movies were done.
Okay.
So I,
Sure.
I I love the behind the scenes, and I used to put things together as a kid, that were in movies. A lot of it was Star Wars because that was like, the biggest of deals back then. I think when I was maybe 10 or 12 years old, I
Hmm.
painted I painted this like huge board, because I was an artist. I did,
Okay.
as an artist, literal, artist back
Yeah.
then.
Yeah.
I mean, I could still do some pretty okay stuff now, but life throws a curve. But when I was young, I painted this huge board. I mean, it was just, I don't even know how big it was. It was bigger than a 4x8 type of thing.
Huh.
And I painted it with all, like a space, with all the planets and the stars and
Nice.
Star
Cool.
Wars ships and
Yeah.
everything, and the Millennium Falcon and everything. And that's then I started, like doing stuff in front of it, and I'm like, oh, okay. And so from that point on, it's always been in my mind on camera work and
Okay.
behind the scenes of how to do stuff.
Nice.
So, for about 20 plus years, I've been doing just design, creative stuff. So I've also done video production for about 10 years, but in more recent years is when I started producing more camera driven film work, mainly for Ari, for our daughter,
Okay. Yeah.
for Showreel. And
All right.
so when I started getting into it, and what started to be maybe like a 2 minute show reel, extra footage, turned into like a film short that got like multiple awards. I'm
Huh.
like,
Cool.
okay, all right.
Yeah.
I've been smitten by the bug here, and it's just like it would not let me alone. And from
I
there,
love
it
it.
just, I mean, man, from there it just like kept on like just flooding my heart and my mind, the storylines of new stuff. And then I started, doing other stuff and other film projects. Jumped on as a director, producer, writer, and for other stuff, and then just it kept growing from there.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and until where I'm like, okay, now we seriously need some funding right now, but it hasn't stopped. So that's kind of where it led from,
That's,
really.
that's so cool because I mean, you really are a creative. You're a creative entrepreneur. It didn't just happen overnight. I mean, going back as an artist, and you're still doing that, and it's all embracive. I think once you realize you're a creative, like it administrative stuff, management stuff drives me
Oh,
crazy.
I can't.
It's
I'm
like,
not an Excel person. I'm a Photoshop person. You know.
I love it. I'm gonna steal that from you, bro. Because that's, I mean, it's like, I want to tell our board, look, the best thing you could do, get somebody to manage this organization, get somebody to do all that stuff. Just put me in a padded room, okay, and give me a drum kit and a camera and a microphone and a computer, and let me create, and then bang on the door and say, okay, Steve, it's time to take you out. Now go do your creative thing.
Right.
Okay, now go back in and create more, so you can go back out and, because it's the
Exactly.
other stuff just drives me nuts, and it's like I
Exactly.
keep, oh man, it's like minds here. I love the whole, I'm an author and I love writing, and I'm really frustrated because I've been working on this one book, and I want to get it done and get it out, because I want to impact people, and I know that's what you're all about. Again, that purpose and that passion, and I think that's huge, and I hope people are catching on to that for themselves. Now, I mean, I went to your website. By the way, what is the website for? It's Crystal Fox Films, correct?
Correct. Yeah. CrystalFoxFilms .com. And
Okay.
we actually came up with that for two reasons.
Okay.
Obviously, our last name is Fox,
Yeah.
and then also our favorite creature from Star Wars is the Crystal Fox,
Oh,
and, and that's from the third in the newest series.
you
Where
just
where
answered my
this
question then, where it came from.
yeah, Crystal Fox. So Crystal
Yeah.
Fox Films. Um, yeah, so that's how we kind of combine that. But crystalfoxfilms.com, and then of course on almost all social media, Crystal Fox Films. And then of
Okay.
course,
Cool.
um, I'm sure you at the end I can give more like of the movies themselves, the projects or whatever. But yeah, that's
Yeah,
how
we
to
do. Yeah, we got to talk about
yeah,
that.
yeah.
It's well, what I'm leading to, I guess, is I took a few minutes and went to your website, in prep for having our conversation,
Sure, yeah.
and it's like, you cover all kinds of genres. I mean, it's from one thing to another, and I mean, it's suspense, it's comedy, it's scary stuff, sci-fi stuff. I mean, that's a huge amount of territory to cover. But how hard is it to make a film? Because I'm sitting here again. I've been part of them in a variety of ways,
How hard
but
is it?
I'm looking at that going, wow. This, whether it's a film or a commercial, because you do commercials as well. I mean that, and you've won these awards, and you're on these platforms. Blah blah. I mean, but how hard is it to
so
do a film?
so So for commercials, it's about 100 times easier than it is
Oh,
to make a
okay.
film. Commercials are pretty straightforward. Your product or your customer, you can create a few different ways or about it.
Mm-hmm.
You do it, it's done, next. But to make a movie, I'm going to quote Peter Parker when he said, "This is not for the faint of heart." And
I
if
love it.
somebody said
Okay.
it's easy, somebody lied. So,
Oh, you
you
lied
know,
to me.
it's so okay. So unfortunately, it's not the fact that like if we work 10 to 13 hours on set in a day, which is normal, a normal day
Okay, sure.
for actors, for the cast, for the crew. It's not, it's not a negative or hard, just to hold the camera, move around, direct,
Sure.
do 1,000 different things with
Yeah.
actors, cast, crew, objects, sets, locations. I mean, I love getting the shots, the scenes, working with the actors, actresses who are serious about their craft,
Yeah.
but um, there's a few different ways to answer. So again, it's like it's super, super hard to make a film because there's 1,000 moving parts to it.
All
And
right.
and so many people don't get it. Even people I'm working with now, they just don't get it. They're frustrated, and we haven't even started. We haven't even started pre-production yet, because you have to do like a million things before you get to that point. Then there's pre-production, and then it's like when you finally get to shooting and filming people, that's like the smallest part of the film.
Interesting. Okay.
So, you got the pre-production, you got the prep, um, and then you got the filming, and then you got the longest part, which is the post-production, which is the most
Oh, yeah.
brutal part of it all, because it takes a lot. Um, People don't realize how long and how many moving parts there is to making a film. I remember when I was doing the box in the basement, that on the day two of our on set, we literally had like between 75 and 85 people, and I'm just looking around and I'm thinking, man, is this how Steven Spielberg feels? you know and it was just amazing. It was amazing to see so many cast, crew, people,
Sure.
family, and just people on set. It was just like this is so amazing. You can't buy that.
That's cool.
But at the same time, as the director, and
Yeah.
and the guy to kind of head everybody there, it's like you have to know where you're going. Put
Yeah,
it that way.
for sure.
And something else that a lot of people don't realize is you have to be like quick on the fly, because
Okay.
nothing ever goes exactly how you plan it to go. And so that's why they have these they think called change pages, and there's different color pages of the script, because you have to change it like on the fly, because instead of that wall being brown, it's like stucco, and you're supposed to film against it because somebody's wearing brown or something. I mean, just stuff like that.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
you're
yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah.
okay, all right, look, we got to change this up. So, you get your first AD, you get, those that you trust that work with you, your
Sure.
DP, of course, as a director,
Yeah.
and you go over it right there on the spot if it needs changing, which happens a lot. And so there's a lot to it, you know what I mean? So,
Yeah.
but if it's a passion and you love what you're doing, like I love directing, there's nothing like it.
Sounds like it.
Then it's like it's par for the course, and that doesn't wear me out,
Hmm.
Um, even though it is very hard, very very hard. What is unfortunately hard for me and even my family is it, and it's been, it has been a discouragement, is the entertainment industry itself.
Okay.
Like I mean, literally punched our faces quite a bit, and it's vital, it's crucial that anybody
Hmm.
getting into this understands the good, the bad, and the ugly. And it's like, so for example, we have a film in development called Mia's Bridge. It's in
Okay.
development, and a great friend of ours who's also the producer on it, and she's got a little role on it, Sue Celeste Guzman. She pitched in as a producer, and we were actually able to film a teaser for this.
Okay.
And we flew in the girl, her mom, in from Florida. The DP and the lead gang leader came in from North Carolina. We worked from like 7 a.m. one morning to 4 a.m. the next morning. It was very
Hmm.
long, very hard.
Hmm.
We're just barely holding on for life, but it was rewarding. But that's not the hard part. The hard part is that we've had so many like broken promises by
Hmm.
people who say, I will fund, I will invest, and
Yep.
let's
Yep.
give it to us, and we'll take it, and we'll take it over basically, and then we'll produce it, and we'll make it, and we'll get money for it. And there are so many people in this industry that has like thrown us under the bus, or talked a good game, and then come to find out either they're a scam. We have been scammed, by the way.
Okay.
I'll share this because it's just interesting, and you gotta be aware. You gotta be aware and have your antennas up. On our current movie Sleepers that we're producing,
Okay.
we've been kind of scammed out of 10K. of money.
Ouch.
Yeah.
Ouch.
Um, we didn't stop. We kept on going because that was kind of like our integrity. You know, we know we'll be blessed somehow back.
Okay.
Um, we're still waiting for that blessing to come back, but still, we wanted to main we we wanted to maintain our integrity, and so we got scanned by this production company. But it's not like an isolated incident, and
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
that's the hardest part of making films is the empty promises or the scammers and the hustlers out there. You
Yep.
don't know who to trust if you don't have somebody that has investment money that knows you, or somebody that is on the inside that can bring you there. It's that what's that click mentality,
Yes.
where
Yes.
if you don't know the person, then you're on the outside trying to get in. Once you get in, it's a beautiful place. But for so many independent filmmakers, unless
Mm-hmm.
you have somebody that you know that can take you by the hand on the inside, it is the most frustrating. Money, investment money, and distribution. Those are the two top things that is the hardest, most wearing out type of thing to deal with. So other than that, it's as rewarding as anything you've ever felt. So
Oh, absolutely. And it's, I hear what you're saying, and it keeps coming to me is trust factor, because I know we've doing what we do. In fact, we had a producer out here in Southern California approach us because we did this in the first 10 a couple of years ago. In the first 10 days of school, we had 4 students in the same district kill themselves. A beloved teacher killed themselves. So we did a kind of an anti-bullying thing because it
mm,
had to do with bullying, and we had a night for parents, a night for students, and he sends a rep, and short, long story short, you guys got to be on TV, you got to have a TV show, blah blah. So we started down the path, and then bam, he's gone, he's vanished. He's like, now I'm grateful that he put the vision in our minds to do this, and we have started it, and we're working on that. And we've tested 2 seasons, we've got a third season we're working, but it's frustrating because it's like I don't want to become jaded, and you don't sound jaded to me. It just sounds to me we sound very similar, cautious,
yeah,
with integrity, and that's such a key word. And I hope that those who are with us on the show, they're watching, they're listening, are picking up on this. Integrity is a huge
yeah.
thing, and the passion is a huge thing, and purpose is a huge thing. Now, I want to go back to something that I saw on your website, because I saw Mia's Bridge there. You mentioned Sleepers, and then I saw Want to Be a Star, and I watched this teaser, and I'm going, whoa,
Yeah, so
you're over here.
so
No, it's over
sleepers
here.
so sleepers is a an action packed
Yeah.
drama. I mean, we had like double stunt and fight choreographers on it. We've had double DPs, and we've been in locations in an abandoned building, filming there, and it's just like the coolest place ever.
Nice.
And then we've had locations where we're in front of the Veterans Park, so we've been all over the place.
Okay.
Mia's Bridge, again, we actually had, it's kind of like uh, we had it's like an urban type of feel to it, and we had residents, and we had SWAT coming in and all that kind of
Oh,
stuff.
cool.
So it was amazing. The props, the guns, the
Yeah.
SWAT thing. Just in fact, this last weekend, we were in 2 different locations: Rehoboth Beach, in an Architectural Digest house, filming. Beautiful house, jacuzzi outside, all that kind of stuff. And then we went to Alapacos. I'm saying it wrong, I know I am. State Park, which is the only cliff in Delaware.
Okay.
And so we had drone shots going
Ooh,
over the
nice.
up the cliff and down. I
Yeah.
mean, it looks great because it's like twisting. I won't give it away, but it's just like it's amazing stuff. And then then we go to like Want to Be a Star, which is a faith-based comedy.
Huh.
So interestingly enough, when I came on board, and I came on board as director, I was also an actor. I was a cowboy, and I'm
Okay.
sorry, and my apologies for being a cowboy because I am not a cowboy. I am a city slick. I'm from L.A. That's where I'm from. I'm
Okay.
born and raised in L.A.
All right.
and so I wrote myself out, and so I can direct the way it needs to be directed. But it started off as an episodic.
Okay.
And it's really, really hard to sell an episodic to a network unless you have 5+1, unless you have a season already done. So
Okay.
the budget wasn't there. So it was very, 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 very tricky. Now here's why it was extremely tricky, because it was an episodic sitcom. And so I had the laugh tracks and everything. And I mean, it was funny, it was amazing, it's comedy, plus it's faith-based comedy. And there was like, I just talked to somebody today. Who was I talking to? Oh, at a mixer tonight, about the movies and stuff.
Sure.
And I said, this is a faith-based comedy and there's not much out there. And he looked around and says, I actually don't know any faith-based comedies out there. And I'm like, well, yeah, exactly, there's very little, except maybe if it's cheesy or something, I don't know. But so it was like, it was less than a half an hour. I won't even
Okay.
tell you how much less, but it was less than a half an hour, our first pilot. And I had to take that, and it's grueling, it's brutal, and make that. I say, you know what? The only way we're going to do anything is if we make this into a full feature movie. That's the only way we can change and do something with this for distribution, is
Sure.
that make it a full feature movie. So we did that. And it was very hard because taking out the laugh tracks and cutting it, editing much differently, and then adding
Mm.
like 1,300,000,000. We had a whole nother we it was really hard to make this into what it was. But we ended up making it into a full featured comedy, faith-based
Yeah.
comedy. Its official release is June 11th.
Oh, cool. I
And
want to see it because I watched the teaser, and I thought this is different. It's fun.
it's
It's lighter.
and I
It's
have to give props to my partner, who is the lead on it, Dr. Cool. His name is Marquise Skinner. We'll be seeing
okay.
him in 2 days. But he is, I mean, he's just he's raw talent. And I remember he was just getting into the acting part, and he even says it himself, so I don't mind saying it. But since he wanted, he's the executive producer, along with me. We
Yeah.
co-wrote it, but he wanted to be lead. So I had to take what was written and rewrite it and expand it like 100% kind of thing.
Okay.
But I had fun with it, and I wrote all these lines for him, and he's like, Mike, I got like so this amount of pages of lines. I can't memorize this. I said, dude, you wanted to be lead. I'm
That's right.
making you lead.
You got it.
Learn the lines. And to my surprise, and me, Trisha, and Ari, we were impressed and proud of him. But he put his head, to it, and he learned his lines and he knocked it out of the park. And I'm telling you, we even were able to incorporate a little ASL into it, with an interpreter who works, like, for the government and all kinds of
Yeah.
stuff. And so it's so diverse in culture, and
Yes.
nationality.
Yes.
Every nationality and culture you can
I
think of, almost.
noticed that.
It's amazing. So cast and crew. So we had so much fun with it. It took a long time to put together, just because of how it was originally put together,
Hmm.
but it's really fun stuff. It really is. Plus, it has a few moments, especially with Yamara Griffin, who is in L.A. actually.
Okay.
She moved to L.A. and they have a growing family. But she's been on. I guess she was Kevin Hart's daughter on one movie or something like that. So
Okay.
she's been around Hollywood quite a bit.
Yeah.
So she's a good name for it. And I put her to the test. I wrote some like really deep, heavy emotional parts, because you got to have some emotions, and even in a comedy. And she knocked it out of the park. I was just like, wow, that's
Mm.
amazing. So
Very
yeah,
cool.
wanna be a star. WANNABE. One word. You're a wannabe. So wannabe a star, and you can even go to wannabeastarmovie.com.
Okay. Cool.
Is it want to be a star movie or want to be a star the movie? Want to be a star the movie. Sorry.
The movie. Okay.
Yeah. And then of course it's on social media and things like that. June
Yeah.
11th. June 11th is the official release date that we were given about 4 days ago or so.
Okay. Very cool. I'll look forward to seeing that. I love the diversity and all the different and the different genres and definitely can pick up the creative entrepreneur in there. But I think it's healthy too in going from one thing to another. I think it keeps you inspired, it keeps you motivated, it keeps you fresh. Okay, now if I were to say to you, you have 1 minute to give a nugget of advice to young actors and actresses, what would you say?
The quicker you start, the better, and the quicker you'll succeed.
Okay.
Don't take shortcuts. If you do, you'll actually take longer to get to your goal.
Okay.
If you want to act, do everything that you can to help your acting career.
All right.
It's a craft, it's a career, just like
Yeah.
anything. Whether you're a
Yeah.
mechanic or you're a drummer or you're an actor, you need to take classes, lessons, get coached. Learn how to do it better than your competition, if
Sure.
possible.
Sure.
Um, but stay humble. Period. Stay humble.
Okay.
Most actors that get super famous lose sight of where they came from.
Mm-hmm.
But
Mm-hmm.
for actors, start and get a pro account on IMDb. That is your online resume,
Okay.
and get into like Backstage and Actors Access and things like that. Get your resume and your headshots up there. For voiceover, talk to our daughter, Ariana, who we're just about to complete a voiceover course for young
That's right.
people and
That's
old
right.
people alike on Udemy on how to get into the voiceover industry, which is voice acting, but it's a
Yes.
whole different genre.
Yep.
And then I would say, pretty much to sum it up, don't wait. Just like James Cameron said, get your camera, get out there, do it. Don't slow down. Don't wait for something to happen. You make it happen, you
Hmm.
know, and that's where the magic starts. It follows you. The signs follow them that believe. So you do what you need to do, and things will start to happen behind you, not in front of you. So.
Interesting. Great advice. I mean, for anybody, that wants to get into this world, I appreciate you taking the time.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
really do. I know you're
Yeah,
busy.
and I just real quick, again, shout out to our friend and partner for Want to Be a Star, for actually doing that. There was times to where, just getting into the business, Marquis Skinner, he was like, I'm not sure, and we'd encourage him, and
Hmm.
now, he's come so far. In producing, doing his own filming, things like that,
Nice.
Stranger Detectives, and he's confident. And I mean, he's just, he's an amazing person. But it's just that perseverance. Don't don't give
Ah,
up. Don't stop. Even when you don't feel, even when nobody's supporting you, they don't have your vision. You have that vision. So yeah.
the three P words, Mike: passion, purpose, and perseverance. Oh, I love it. Hey, it's been great to be with you. We'll have to do this again and continue our conversation. There's so much more we could be talking about. And I do appreciate you taking the time, to be with us. You've got so much going on. But give us, let's see, website again is crystalfoxfilms.com. And then
Yep.
for Wanna Be a Star,
So
that,
crystalfoxfilms.com. My email is director@crystalfoxfilms.com.
okay,
Wanna be a star, it would be wannabeastarthemovie.com. Sleepers is sleepersthemovie.com, and then Mia's Bridge is Mia's Bridge, the movie.com, and then our
okay,
the other film is The Box in the Basement. That's just theboxinthebasement.com, not the movie, just the Box in the
just
Basement.
okay. And what about social media?
Social media, same thing, exact
Okay.
same thing, and of course our daughter, she's on everything. If you follow, connect with her, you'll see all of our stuff, anyways. But on social media, official Mike Fox on
Okay.
Instagram and Facebook. So official Mike Fox, you'll see. I post snips and clips of all of our
Nice.
projects and stuff.
Cool.
So it's really exciting stuff going on. So yeah.
Awesome. We'll make sure we put this in the notes for the film. I mean, for the show. We're talking about film. The
You're
film was on
speaking
my
my
tongue
tongue.
there. For the film, for the show. No, we'll put it in the notes, and we'll keep in touch and appreciate what you're doing and your passion and the purpose behind it, and that reminder about integrity and perseverance. So great to be with you. If I get back to that area, I'll look you up and we'll do something together, whatever.
Absolutely. I appreciate
Yeah.
you having me on and love everything that you're doing. Kudos back to you,
Oh, thanks. I appreciate the encouragement very much. Okay, guys, make sure you stay in touch with what Mike is doing. We'll put the social stuff and everything else in the notes. Check out his website. Check out the film on the 11th, Want to Be a Star. And remember what he said: purpose, passion, perseverance, and the big I word, integrity. Okay, next week we have you got to join us. Corey is going to be coming on the show, who is part of something called the Fresno Skateboard Salvage. Now, I want to just leave it at there to maybe get you to come and check it out. Okay, and remember, follow us at UTalk Radio. If you need some more, and that's on all social platforms, if you need some more UTalk, go to YouTube, go to, Instagram TV, also the audio version, and Mike will let you know when the audio version of this is posted. But we have an audio version of the show that's on iHeartRadio, it's on Spotify, it's on Apple Music, SoundCloud, Deezer, even in India, Javan, which is I think the second largest site, the platform there in that country, that huge country. Great to be with you
cool.
as always, and guys, have a good one. We'll see you next time. Bye.